Tommy, thank you very much indeed. Hello, good evening, and welcome along to the Aviva Stadium as the home of Irish Rugby opens its doors for a Leinster versus Munster fixture quite unlike any of the previous 158 contested by these two best of enemies. This, of course, is the fixture that famously put 82,000 bums on the Croke Park seats on a watershed day in May 2009, and in the decade or so since that seismic semi-final, close to 1 million spectators have made their way through the turnstiles to witness this unique Irish sporting spectacle. Today, you need a golden ticket to be one of only 200 in attendance. While Leinster versus Munster remains a box office draw, today, sadly, it's only the sitting room sofas that are packed to capacity. Leo Cullen and Leinster arrived in two buses to be socially distanced. The defending champions are here to take on their arch rivals, and they will both look to hit the ground running. We are all set to go at the Aviva Stadium. These games usually carry a unique sense of colour and occasion. The soundtrack and the backdrop very, very different behind closed doors at the home of Irish Rugby tonight. Hopefully when the whistle goes, though, it will be a case of same old Leinster versus Munster. Munster very much with the lion's share of victories over their arch rivals, particularly here at the Aviva Stadium over the course of the last 9 or 10 years, if so. And as we already know, having won 13 out of 13 in the Pro 14, they are already through to a home semi-final, a abbreviated Pro 14 season, of course, a 15 match rather than 21 game regular season. There will be no quarter-final playoffs. It will be first in Conference A taking on second in B, and the winners of B then playing the runners-up in Conference A. Munster really come here tonight knowing that they'll probably have to beat Leinster to avoid meeting them back here in a couple of weeks' time in another semi-final. They have played them at that stage of the competition for each of the last two seasons, and Leinster have gone on to win both and win the competition. Well, much of the talk around the Munster team selection naturally is surrounded the two Springbok World Cup winners. Johan van Graan throws both straight into the thick of the fray. At 6'9" and almost 120 kilograms, R.G. Snyman is a wrecking ball enforcer with that bulk and ballast, allied to a skill set that made him a key member of Rassie Erasmus's bomb squad in Japan. James Cronin out, by the way. Dave Kilcoyne starts in that front row. Damien Dialande is the other Webb Ellis winner, making his Munster debut tonight, as he demonstrated in Japan. He knows his way to the try line. His radar might be set to find its way down the Leinster number 10 channel as he looks to make a big impact. Well, Johnny Sexton leads out the Leinster team. Fourth appearance of the season for the Leinster captain, is first in the Guinness Pro 14, last played in last season's grand final in Glasgow. Leo Cullen's selection of Ryan Bird as Scott Fardy's second row partner speaking volumes for the 21-year-old former St Michael's man and his potential. He scored a hat-trick of tries last time out against Glasgow. Tonight, remember, is just his third start. Good to see Jack Conan back in that number 8 shirt as well. Well, at 35, a 5-month hiatus to reboot body and mind may have done Johnny Sexton a power of good, and interesting to see how Leo Cullen manages resources as Leinster look to retain this title, and then of course perhaps exact revenge against Saracens in Europe. Dave Carney in great form before the break, 12 tries already this season. Before we get underway, we will have a moment's silence as a mark of respect to those who have lost their lives during the pandemic. And that moment of silence also as a thank you to the ongoing good work of frontline staff and healthcare workers. This now is the unity moment. Players will form a circle to demonstrate a unified approach to support the battle against racism in all walks of life. And this happening right across the Guinness Pro 14 this weekend. All set to go, and there is the man in charge tonight, Andrew Brace. A lot of talk, of course, in the build-up this week to his role tonight and the reinforcement of the breakdown laws such as they are. No real changes in there, but as we've been seeing both in the Southern Hemisphere and in the Gallagher Premiership in England over the last couple of weekends, players not getting away with nearly as much at breakdown time. No Joey Carberry tonight, of course, a big night, another big night for JJ Hanrahan, and you always know it's a big game, Leinster Munster, when Johnny Sexton starts. Both teams more or less at full tilt for this interprovincial derby match, the 159th meeting between the two in very, very unique circumstances. But rugby has been put on hold for long enough now. It's been 5.5 months or something of that nature, 170 days plus on pause. We are ready to play again, and it is the old rivals toe-to-toe, head-to-head at the Aviva Stadium. And the kick-off taken in there by Robbie Henshaw. Henshaw and Ringrose in the Leinster midfield tonight, facing the considerable bulk and ballast of Deolande and Farrell. Much spoken about in the build-up. Jordan Larmour looking to put some footwork on his first involvement inside the opening 30 seconds. Shrill blast at breakdown time, and the first penalty comes inside the opening 35 seconds. And that'll allow me to bring in the man alongside me. Always great to see Liam Tolan back in harness.
Well, I tell you what's much better to see is Jordan Larmour at 15 running the ball from outside his 22 up into a couple of big South African centres there. You look at Damien Deolande obviously and Chris Farrell, two huge centres. He ran it out, but I think it was Archer who followed through. And there's a term that they're using of late is diving, not driving, and it seemed that Archer lost his feet, and Andrew Brace penalised him, giving Leinster an opportunity to get out of their half.
Ball into midfield and smothered there by Johnny Sexton. First real involvement for the 21-year-old second row Ryan Baird. What a night for him, just his third start in Leinster colours in there alongside Scott Vardy. James Ryan, remember, rehabbing a shoulder operation. His rehab is going very well. They're expecting him back a little sooner than they might have. And as Gordon Darcy said pre-match, no surprise that it's Scott Vardy in alongside the youngster Ryan Baird tonight, a World Cup finalist with 39 caps for the Wallabies. Jack Conan back at number 8, hasn't played since the World Cup. Great to see him back in action. Hanrahan came from a long way. That was knocked forward by a Leinster hand.
You can see as that ball was being contested from the back in Munster that a couple of the Munster support players were funneling in where the ball, you can see it on the monitor there, funneling in, protecting the oncoming Munster player to catch the ball. That's something that Andrew Brace is going to keep an eye on throughout the game. In other words, have they ran a line that's legal? In this case it is. But had JJ Hanrahan fielded that ball, then those guys are going to be potentially obstructing the Leinster jerseys. That's another part of the breakdown is one area that they're looking at, but that area in the air and how the players are funneling and preventing an equal contest in the air is something that referees will be looking at too.
Seconds.
George Clancy, by the way, on this near side, and Joy Neville over on the far side.
Points.
Munster free kick,
which makes 3 of the officials all from the North Munster area, which wouldn't have been a beautiful new world we're living in, Conor.
Back into the Leinster 22 and a little bit of space momentarily for Larmour. There is the unmistakable figure of RG Snyman, of whom we expect to see lots this evening. That's been knocked forward by a Leinster player. I think it was Baird in there. Had to go a little bit low to try and gather it. Good position this for Munster inside the opening 4 minutes. Steep learning curve for that young man who has so much potential. He has all the facets to be a great player.
No, there's no doubt they practice that particular exit strategy buckets of times in the last few weeks, but not under this type of pressure. So that's where you're going to expect throughout. I think the viewer, has to be a bit patient with those little skill sets, and I think the way the unit is working around those little intricate pods, there are going to be mistakes. So I think we've got to forgive him, certainly in the opening parts of the game.
And particularly with Peter O'Mahony in his peripheral vision as he went to gather that ball.
Point. Set.
Perfect platform from which to launch an attack here for Munster, and Stander comes around, runs into a thumping challenge from Andrew Porter. Holland takes it on for Munster now inside the Leinster 22. Can they build some momentum? Dave Kilcoyne expected to start on the bench. Cronin's injury means he goes straight into the starting team. Well, no surprise inside 5 minutes. Handling errors, timing and cohesion not quite there.
You mentioned Kilcoyne. There was a guy who was on fire, wasn't he, pre-COVID? Everything he was doing, but the type of carry, these carries where he's in heavy traffic, bouncing players off. He has this ability just to soak up a couple of big hits and keep going forward. Hugely important to his teammates. Again, I think there was a Leinster jersey on the ground holding a red boot, is there?
Yeah, fair enough, thanks.
Some repairs for Johnny Sexton. These sets of players, both sets of players,
we've got to keep that, okay?
Really just with 2 major blocks of pre-season training in the build-up.
Yeah.
2 blocks of 4 weeks. Most players got 2 weeks rest or something like that in between time. And a lot of the initial block, of course, was in separate pods or groups, no contact. This is Johnny Sexton putting his body on the line against CJ Stander, and a nasty kind of upright collision between the two. Keelan Doris coming across, unfamiliar to see him in that number 6 shirt.
Just in the last scrum, the Munster scrum, you've got you cannot ignore R.G. Snyman's role at scrum time in behind the Munster tight head Stephen Archer.
Fellas.
There's a huge amount of just weight there, but there's an enormous amount of power coming in behind Archer. That has to have a very big positive impact on Munster's scrum.
Same patience on their ball, please.
Like if you're the loose head for Leinster, you're aware of the amount of power that's coming through Archer.
Let's go. Next stop, please.
He's still only 25. He's
seconds.
He's quite a scary looking guy as well. I don't think
it's the whole image. He's 6'9", and I have him down as 116 kilograms. He may be a little bit more than that. He was coming off the pitch after warming up alongside Chris Klutze, and David and Goliath kind of territory there. A foot in the difference almost. There's a penalty coming here, and this is probably where we'll pick up some of the sign from the players, Leinster players, celebrating that little victory there at scrum time.
Yeah, clear, go forward, one collapsing under pressure.
A lot of chat in the week as well from both coaches and some of the players about whether or not teams will be able to pick off line-out throws and such like by hearing and interpreting calls.
Okay. All right.
You can see Andrew Race's interpretation there of Kilcoyne's mind and collapsing under pressure. That's a big moment because these are hugely emotional. In a stadium with no people, those scrum times are hugely emotionally important to win.
Good contest.
Snyman picks that one off.
7 away.
That's good line-out work from Munster. I think he's injured himself in the process, though, the South African. He got up well to collect that delivery from Kelleher. He's been attended to right down in front of us now as Munster go on with Stander. Now Conor Murray. And they miss out Scannell and they find O'Mahony. Quick ball from Conor Murray and good hands from Hanrahan. First involvement for Keith Earls. The tempo just beginning to lift now as Munster come with their own first real attacking salvo of the game. Hanrahan, Dialande now, what can he do up against Cian Healy and Van der Fleer in there with the red scrum cap. Treatment ongoing to Snyman, by the way. He stayed on the ground.
So there's already a couple of injuries. Looks like Kilcoyne is limping badly, and Simon has stayed down on the deck, hasn't he? But that's a great start. That's superb line-out lift. See the lift from Peter O'Mahony at the front, holding strong. Then, when he was at his most vulnerable, both lifters left him go. And sometimes that can be refereed as in that's a Leinster infringement, but in reality his lifters need to be much stronger. If he's brave and getting up that high, you have got to protect him. And it looks like he's not going to. That's a costly line-out win.
Well, I think everyone was looking forward to seeing, but we're going to see two changes here now for Munster. Two enforced changes. So, but R.G. Snyman with a line-out steal, and it was that left ankle as he came down, and he's going to play no further part. That is galling for him and for Munster. All the pre-match talk about Snyman and Dialande and his debut lasts 7 minutes. So John Klein is in.
You mentioned Dialande, his first ball carry in anger, and he had Cian Healy and Josh Van der Fleer, who both just swamped him the second he touched the ball.
So far from ideal for Munster, because Kilcoyne is off. James Cronin forced out of the matchday squad prior to kick-off with a groin injury, and now Jeremy Loughman is in. And John Klein, who they would have been hoping to come off the bench for the last 20-25 minutes and bring a lot of ballast and brawn, has been forced into the game after only 7 minutes. So a disruptive start to the game. Ball is loose again on the deck. Frenzied, feverish fight for it.
Okay. No. We do not need you. We do not need you. Step away.
Dialande and Fardy in there initially, and then one or two getting involved thereafter, and it's just simmering along nicely. Crowd or no crowd, the intent and the appetite very much still there to be seen.
Okay. Come here. Just come here for a sec. Guys, when the whistle's gone, we don't get involved after the ball, the two of you. Okay? That's clear? Thank you. So counter ruck is good and straight off feet. One.
Can we make the most of this good field position again from the boot of Hanrahan and the penalty and into Leinster territory? Well, we're still kind of reeling up here from the exit of R.G. Snyman. Munster getting on with business and looking to put some points on the board.
Well, you look at the strength and the stats of Munster's performance thus far. Their line-out, they create so many tries from their line-out. If Leinster have anything to do tonight is to disrupt this line-out. Obviously, the changes in personnel is going to change it already. But an awful lot of their tries come from this very moment.
Scannell's delivery from touch, gathered by CJ Stander, and can they get some forward momentum? Not initially. Now they're going forward, and now they're going to get a penalty. I think that's against Keelan Doris. Collapsing, JJ Hanrahan. Tight little delivery in the narrow corridor there to Conway. Nothing doing. Back we come for the penalty. And there's an urgency now about Munster.
The line out is over, yeah. 6 claps in the maul.
There's a statement of intent. We've not yet played 10 minutes, and Munster are camped down inside that Leinster 22, and they're going for a line out again.
It seemed that Baird actually almost tackled one of his teammates to bring the ball
both
down.
Side, please. Push back. Keep going, 9. Keep going.
So what's the play here? Stander on the
6-on-1 setup.
More!
Tight into the front to O'Mahony.
Ball is there. Do not come in.
And you notice O'Mahony didn't even jump off the deck.
No, backwards.
And it's there for Conor Murray. Looking to set up the next attack. 6 metres out. Stander. Murray now goes to Archer. And Archer makes a yard or two, helped out by Billy Holland, Leinster player on the wrong side. Ball is there for Murray, no penalty this time. Here come Munster again. Pick and jam around the fringes, right in front of those Leinster posts. Sean Klein is poised. CJ Stander in behind. Archer. Van der Fleer well positioned. 42. Baird was in there. Here they go now with Lockman. Forced a little wider. Munster regrouping. O'Mahony has a little look around the corner. Farrell. Good clear out. Quick ball for Murray. All the way back to Daly. Stout defence this from Leinster. The kind of defence that served them so well at Thomond Park the last time they met at Christmas. Can they hold out again though? Farrell almost through the narrowest of gaps, taken on by Stander. Van der Fleer's making tackles all across the pitch, right in front of those posts. Holland waits. Klein waits behind him. Lockman and Archer there too. Taken on by Tommy O'Donnell. In goes O'Mahony to try and remove Van der Fleer. Farrell again. And Farrell's having a look. Murray, he thought there was a gap there himself. Maybe for Stander this time. Hanrahan waits and poised. Munster have numbers to the right. Leinster defence is funneling across. Here they go with Lockman. Incessant pressure now on that Leinster try line. 12 minutes in. Can they get over? Scannell. Good defence. This time penalty advantage. Will they try something a little more adventurous? Deolandi! Deolandi, has he got there? No, it's there for Conor Murray. They managed to hold him out, for now at least. And here comes the try, surely, for Andrew Conway. 12 and a half minutes in. And Conway takes full advantage from the penalty advantage and goes over for his 43rd try in Munster colours.
Well, Andrew Conway gets the plaudits for the touchdown, but it is the outside centre in Chris Farrell who did some serious damage. And I think it was the 16-17 phases that Munster put through of all the big ball carriers get on the ball. It was the easiest of tries for Andrew Conway. But you've got to credit Josh van der Fleer in the number 7 jersey for Leinster. He must have put in about 6 tackles in that phase. But Chris Farrell, he's a game changer. He got across the gain line each time, gets his hands free. It's a clean breakdown, it's quick breakdown, and allows other big forwards to carry as well. Super score from Munster. Again, coming from the line-out, which is what they've been doing all season, Conor. All their scores are come from the line-out, and Leinster got to keep the ball out of touch, or they got to challenge it in the air, but they can't allow Munster to get into this rhythm.
And the perfect response to losing 2 key players so early in the game. Within 5 minutes of losing Kilcoyne and RG Snyman, Munster are in for the first try, and it's converted by JJ Hanrahan.
Yeah, I know that. Just because you affected clean, 7 went on it, they affected the clean.
Well, it's been pretty good stuff so far, the opening 14 minutes, and much of the good play in those last couple of passages from Munster. Really good composure, and as you say as well, strength and physicality through that midfield now with Deolandi and Farrell.
But that line-out, Conor, allows the likes of Farrell to get in, and you look at a name that hasn't been mentioned at all is James Lowe. So it's been all Munster, and they deserve that score. But
and there's Farrell again, another really good carry.
Use it! No, still under the foot. Now 9.
Murray box kicking from just inside that Munster 22, asking the question of Lormer, who had a long way to go to try and get hands on ball. And those kind of 50-50 calls at the moment seem to just be going Munster's way.
Like Conor Murray did an excellent execution of a box kick, and there was 3 Leinster players that funneled back into the channel, the running zone if you like. They just blocked in and they gave the best possible opportunity for Leinster to regain that ball. But still with all that, it didn't feel it. Good pressure, but again it's something that Andrew Brace is going to continuously look at. Are they blocking legally or not? because so many teams are doing it and doing it successfully.
Crouch! Bind! Sit!
Murray comes around to the try scorer Conway, and he just threads one down the tram lines on this near side. Field position, turning Leinster around and just continuing to apply the pressure.
Let's get good mark here, Steve, yeah? Good as you are.
With a pass spinning at you at that pace, Conor, you want to be pretty awake to make sure you catch it.
Okay, on your front man, please. Thank you.
A short line out for Leinster, just outside their 22. Sides, looks like a 5-and-1 setup.
Well, it didn't work out, but Scannell was in an excellent position to take that and couldn't quite manage to get his hands on it. That was an opportunity.
Okay,
and there's an example of a unit skill just completely malfunctioning. There's definitely a mix-up between the target and the targetee, if that's even English.
All the talk, of course, from the coaches is about getting that cohesion, getting back up to speed. You can go through all the training drills and pre-match, but no pre-season friendlies. I know one or two of the provinces had coaches or referees rather, in to try and get a handle on the new breakdown rules and how they'll be enforced, and nothing is quite the same as the big match tempo, though, particularly when it's an interprovincial match against your arch rivals. Away came Jack Conan with another good carry, and Ringrose. Can Leinster respond? Keelan Doris, McGrath, Sexton, Henshaw to Van der Fleer. He got beyond O'Mahony, but he was taken down soon after that. Fardy doesn't have a lot of pitch to work in. Ball is there for James Lowe.
No!
And twice he goes into the scrum half roll. Sexton now. What can Leinster manufacture here at Henshaw? Oh, that's really good from Ringrose, and he's got away from 2 or 3. Support arriving from his midfield partner Henshaw, but he's put Leinster on the front foot and good field position just outside that Munster 22. Brilliant stuff from Ringrose. Penalty advantages. Porter slips it on to Keelan Doris. Henshaw back inside to Johnny Sexton. Will he just chip one over to that far side where Carney is lurking? It just got away from Dave Carney.
Just 12. Yeah. It's just a penalty, but the ball is clearly gone. Okay, you must leave him alone once the ball's gone, please, okay? Second advantage here. Not rolling.
And that's Deolande on Johnny Sexton, and
that's got to go down as a serious cheap shot. Like, you got a player who's not even watching what is happening and getting a hit in the kidneys like that. That is a serious cheap shot.
Second penalty here.
For me, very lucky just to get a penalty on that. Very lucky. Like, the ball was gone a long time.
Well,
lucky boy, I think.
Penalty the sanction. Will there be further penalty to pay for Munster here, though, if Ronan Kelleher can find his targets at the line-out?
In fairness to Sexton's reaction, he gave a yelp. You could hear it because there's no one else in the ground, but we could hear where we're sitting. But he didn't react in any other way. He kept his composure, which is hugely important for him.
And this time Kelleher does find his target, who was Jack Conan. Better communication and execution of the set piece that time from the team in blue.
And James Lowe, being tired of not getting any passes, goes into the ball himself.
It's Kelleher who has it. He's already managed 8 tries in his 11 appearances for Leinster, and he's not too far away from another one here, and they have hit back Leinster with a try. Brilliant work at set piece time, and Leinster have the try. It's Cian Ely comes up to receive the plaudits. They got the forward momentum, they got the power, and it is Cian Healy.
And you can see how the red wall just completely separated. There was no unit of effort there. They're all individuals trying their best, working, trying to bear hug Leinster pack, who kept brilliant, quite high actually, who kept their unity together. And just the red wall just disintegrated. Great score for Leinster. But again, a costly penalty that led to that line-out throw.
Yep. Cheap penalty, cheap points for Leinster, but didn't they finish it off extremely well? 25th try for Cian Healy. Yeah, he struck it very nicely indeed. No problems whatsoever for Johnny Sexton. Parity on the scoreboard restored by Leinster, 7 points apiece. The opening quarter of the game was flown by at the Aviva. Leinster supporters right across the province and beyond tuning in tonight, showing their support.
Can I add to the Leinster and Munster supporters in the Golan Heights who are out in the Middle East at the moment? The Irish soldiers sent me a text there to say, well, please mention them. So hello, Stan, Sergeant Major.
Well, it's been a long time for everyone to wait to see some live action. And isn't it great to have it back? And the sooner we have the supporters back inside the stadium, all the better. But it's been pretty good fare so far from both teams, to be fair. Despite the obvious rustiness, James Lowe is charged on by Conor Murray deep inside Leinster territory. All hands
James
to the
Lowe is
pump.
back in the pocket again for a second swipe. I'm not entirely sure he's the ideal person to be in those two positions.
Well, he can thump it a long way, but that one was tight as well.
Just the trajectory off his boot in both cases is quite low, isn't it?
Yeah.
I love his reaction. I think it was Sexton pick up the ball and Lowe was like, oh my God, and Sexton was in the world of trouble. He needed to get in there and support him.
He's usually a central figure when these two teams go toe-to-toe. James Lowe always pumped up and always plays the game with a smile on his face. Conway to Shane Daly. Good to see Shane Daly get a vote of confidence at full back tonight. No Mike Haley, of course.
But you saw the Munster back four reshaping there when the ball was kicked in with the intention of looking to counter-attack, which they've done. Great to see.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how this Stephen Larkham game plan develops, because as was mentioned during the week, a lot of the players, the frontline players that were at the World Cup last season, didn't get a pre-season under Larkham, and now they've had a long time. It's all Zoom calls and Microsoft Teams and video analysis, but nonetheless.
That's a couple of times now that the box kicks weren't fielded by the Leinster player coming in, which is only going to encourage Munster to employ that tactic more often, but they got to do better than this. They got to do better than that. They were competing amongst themselves and kind of. I'm enjoying it, Conor. It's bizarre in many ways to be here with so few people in the stadium, but it's really, considering, what is it, 5 months?
Yeah,
some great play, some really good stuff.
Well, as was mentioned by Tommy and the lads in the build-up.
Now you've got JJ Hanron at 10, behind him Keith Earls, and right beside him De Allende. But Allende looks like he is setting up to carry.
Munster's need, of course, is the greater. Leinster already through, but here come that Munster back line with Earls. Wonderful delivery off his left hand all the way out to his opposite number. On the other wing, Conway, the try scorer. It's a little bit slow ball for Murray. Now Hanrahan spots a little gap and he dances in between Van der Fleer and Jack Conan. Good from the number 10. Here they come now with Lockman. Oh, he's coughed that up. It was ripped clear by Ronan Gallagher, showing his physicality. In goes Luke McGrath. Van der Fleer. No, that's a turnover. CJ Stander positioned perfectly, both hands on the ball, and Andrew Brace in the correct position to identify. Munster penalty.
So there's a huge amount of discussion about rewarding the jackler. In this case, it was big CJ Stander getting on the ball. But what referees are looking for is not just he's clamping on the ball. And what Stander did there is not only did he get his hands on it, he actually pulled the ball away. So you'll see an awful lot of jacklers who get into the position, clamp on it, and then they're hunting for a penalty. Whereas referees are insisting that you actually have to go and get that ball, which he did. So quality play from Stander, good penalty, good refereeing.
Struck that well, JJ Hanrahan. Munster go back into the lead.
Interesting, we mentioned Dale Landy a few times. Off the scrum there, Landy set up as if he's going to carry. He was a total decoy, and Munster shifted the ball left to right. But it got to Conway, and the Leinster outside backs just simply shepherded him, and there was no real threat at all. It was an unusual first big play that Landy didn't get on the ball and give that directness, using him as a decoy.
He was so good at the World Cup. The last time we saw him in the flesh in Yokohama in the World Cup final. Key tries in the knockout stages against Japan and Wales. Really key try against Wales in particular. That's good play from Andrew Conway. Knocked that back on the Munster side when he looked second best to get there. Tommy O'Donnell took it on. It's gone back off blue, says Andrew Brace. Look at the frantic fight for the ball on the turf down there right beneath us. It's coming back on the Munster side with Billy Holland, CJ Stander now. Murray box kicking for Andrew Conway to chase. More pressure again on Larmour. He's got a little bit more time. Tackled by Conway, but he wasn't held. Keelan Doris has lost that. Munster have the ball again. Holland to Hanrahan, looking for Keith Earls. That's a 50-50. It's gone the way of Carney. Fractions in that off the hand of Farrell into Josh Van der Fleer now. Dale Landy using his physicality to stop the Leinster number 7.
Deliberate by 13 red. It's okay for me.
Penalty is against Farrell this time.
Okay. Here, Joy. Okay, 13 red, deliberate knock on.
So that was for the outstretched hand from Farrell, spotted by Joe Neville on the far side.
Never under pressure. Yeah.
That resulted in a quality crossfield kick from JJ Hanrahan.
Yeah, so just make sure you don't lift the leg anymore. You're on the rock, sorry, okay?
I understand. I understand. Just be careful on that, yeah?
So Leinster back into
keep an eye on Andrew Porter here in this screen. Watch the crossfield kick, boom. Now that's pretty good timing, but you don't want to tie the prop smashing your out half like that, but that's pretty good timing.
"12 tries, as I said, for Dave Kearney this season. That's as good as he's managed in each of the last 4 combined. Ball makes its way to Conan, therefore Luke McGrath. Leinster's try scorer. Cian Healy takes it up into the Munster 22. Kelleher. And he looked to be turned on the floor. Munster off their feet this time.
Never on the ball, perfecting quick ball.
A straightforward opportunity here for Johnny Sexton to level the game at 10 points apiece. Don't forget Edinburgh beating Glasgow earlier this evening, 30 points to 15. Scarlets also winning this weekend, so the pressure is on Munster. Scarlets not entirely out of the picture, but Munster's modus operandum really over the next two games is to try and get to the top of Conference B, as I said, to avoid coming back here to play Leinster, something they have done on each of the last two seasons at the semi-final stage, and neither game went their way.
I'm sure Leinster will have their eyes on other teams too, and Saracens had a big scoring victory over Harlequins today too, so there's a lot of rugby ahead of us over the coming weeks.
No mistake from Johnny Sexton, and the game is tied up once again.
Which, to be fair to Leinster, playing off about 30-odd% of possession, it's a pretty good result for them, 10 all thus far.
Time off.
Real disappointment around the news about Joey Carberry's injury this week in Munster, but JJ Hanrahan, let's not forget, to go back before the lockdown in the spring, he was in really, really good
Inside.
form.
Use it! Now 9.
No definite timeline for Joey Carberry's injury return, and I think that's a sensible approach from Munster, not to put any pressure on him. They need to get it right this time. He's been plagued for the last year almost. And here's Farrell, he's had a real impact today.
Speaking of impact, just keeping an eye on the Irish scrum half, Conor Murray. He's just going about his business in a very like understated way, if you like. It's just kind of getting back into the game and keep firing out his passes, keep directing nice and calm. He's not taking on a huge amount of responsibility. He's sharing it quite well with JJ Hanrahan. Great to see a player of his calibre back. You know, he's so mature now with so much experience that you wouldn't expect him to start forcing the game himself. It was nice to see him gently easing his way into it. His pack are giving him quite a platform.
Well, we talk about the need for silverware for Munster. He, of course, did start that 2011 Celtic League final against Leinster at Thomond Park.
Okay, we good, John?
But it's been a while with all the possession Munster have had. It's been a while since Chris Farrell and Dale Anday. Like Dale Anday has touched the ball maybe twice.
Okay, let's go, guys, please.
The first time he was swamped by Cian Healy and Josh van der Fleer. Chris Farrell was very, very important, as is this guy CJ Stander. He seems to find Sexton wherever on the planet Sexton is. He'll find him. But it would be good now for Munster with all this possession to see getting across the game line again with Farrell and with Dale
Nice
Anday.
and straight, strong left side.
A couple of their backline moves were a little bit lateral, relatively easy to defend from the Leinster outside defenders.
Crouch!
You probably saw the pictures of Johnny Sexton doing the rounds on social media when they were back in training. I mean, he's put on a lot of bulk over the course of the 4 or 5 months. His muscle program certainly kept him occupied over the break. Perhaps leaned on just a little bit now in the last few weeks, but great for a player of that stage in his career. At 35 to get a 5-month break. Where else would you get it? Barring injury across your career. Ryan Baird.
Tackle!
Running straight into Dale Andy and John Klein. Straight back up on his feet though.
Backwards. Backwards.
Frantic pace to the game. The little wraparound didn't work. That was quick and better hands from Johnny Sexton. Larmour under pressure, hands on the ball. It's another turnover for CJ Stander.
You've pulled him straight down.
That was a very different penalty from Stander. So he went in and clamped on the ball. So Stander was clamped on the ball. Didn't have to survive. I absolutely hate that term, survive the clean out, because the size of these guys, you shouldn't actually have to survive anything here, because you can get badly hurt. But Stander got in, great body position, low hips, and clamped on the ball. You could argue, did he?
I think somebody has got badly hurt. I can't quite see who it is. CJ Stander is back on his feet, isn't he? So the Munster player is surrounded by
this is the
medics.
mix up here, but you can see Stander coming in, zoning in. It's the next breakdown where he attacks. He's not part of the tackle. He gets into a good low position. Now he's clamped on the ball. But I think it's Peter O'Mahony, is it? That's clamped on.
Yeah, it's definitely O'Mahony who has come off the worst there. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it could be his left lower, it could be anything really, but.
And then he gets wedged under Kelleher, and it's very, very awkward, isn't it?
Well, they're mobilising his upper body, neck, and so there was a nasty clash, wasn't there?
Fair enough. We'll look at that.
Looks like a stinger, the old classic medical term. But he couldn't have got much lower anyway in the tackle.
CJ Stander always relishes this occasion. I think he'll be pretty happy so far, Johan van Graan, from what he's seen so far. The injuries to key players notwithstanding, Snyman in particular.
Like we're going to have to, you're going to expect those timing runs. You're going to, like, there's been precious few. Like the penalty count is really low, the error count is pretty low, but you got to expect that. It's great to see Peter O'Mahony back up to his feet.
Yeah, he looks fine. He'll be okay to continue. He'll be back out in the garden tomorrow afternoon. Tricky enough angle for Hanrahan. That looks absolutely perfect. Plenty of conviction and confidence behind that. And Munster back in front. Little under 5 minutes of the regulation 40.
Talking about Connemara earlier on. Look at his role in defence here. He slips into the open side and takes on a big number 8. Lovely, like unseen work in many cases. But he sets up in the classic place and then slips around and then fills the field. It was great having a scrum half who could take on a number 8 there, doing his job.
Farrell using his height to good advantage there. That's really good from Conway again. He now needs to get rid of it pretty quickly, just run out of pitch.
That's 3 times now Leinster have not been able to field a good box kick. Arguably the Leinster players are filling in, they're protecting Larmour coming back, but he's just not commanding the air.
Yeah, that's good now, yeah.
Very good again from Conway because he looked second best.
It's on the arm, okay?
And a little bit of afters
Step away,
here.
17, step. Step. We don't need you, and step, please. We don't need you. We're just going to wait. So it's not a fair contest for me. It's on the shoulder, okay? 15 minutes. I know, but I'm not going to let you go quickly if everybody's running in, okay? Both sides here. Yeah, it's not a fair contest. He's on the shoulder and affected the contest there.
Well, there's nothing wrong with the communication there. It's just simple. He's telling Peter Manny. Peter Manny goes up to correct. There's a real respect between those two protagonists. I think Billy Holland would argue that he did everything right, but it's a more than fair refereeing decision. He's explained it. It's not a fair contest. But that's why it is a contact sport, and it does contact in the air from time to time, and referees are trying to control that.
Don't change! One stop!
I thought he did well to control that.
Advantage, you're pulling them out of the ball.
And that's a cheap concession of a penalty now, and Lowe gets his hands on it. He's come a long way in off that left flank to try and get involved.
No advantage, you're off feet. Yeah, number 8, pulling out the maul.
Penalty count just creeping up. Both sides guilty of.
Number 8, pulling a player out the maul.
Yeah, pretty clear right in front of Andrew Brace, and no shot at goal for Johnny Sexton. We're in the dying embers of the first half. Can they execute something from the line-out?
You mightn't see it at home, but there's a stare-off between
George Clancy
and Johnny Sexton, who hasn't moved. It's like something from Clint Eastwood in the Good, the Bad and the Ugly. Who is the good, the bad and the ugly, I don't know. But he just stayed there for about 15 seconds staring at him. Not happy with the with where the touch has been.
I make it Munster having conceded 7 penalties to Leinster's 9. That's pretty high. The first Gallagher Premiership game I watched, by the way, I think there was 27 penalties. Quins against Sale at the Stroop a couple of weeks ago. Sale conceded 12 inside the opening 30 minutes of the game.
Turn back on.
Kelleher, oh, it's been picked off by O'Mahony. Van der Fleer somehow he's got his hands on it though.
Last feed now, Red.
Conan.
Away, Red. Yes, stay here.
How often do we see Leinster score right at this time in the game?
On the line, Red.
Championship minutes right on half time.
Onside.
Healy, who's already got one, held up short, half a metre short. Slow ball from McGrath. Conan waits, they go a little wider. The Henshaw dinks it through for Ringrose.
He did exceptionally well, Conor, because he was body checked, I think, by Chris Farrell just to get through, so he kept powering forward, I think.
No, it wasn't. It was offside. 17.
Really good between Henshaw and Ringrose.
Just keep an eye on Chris Farrell there, just a slight body check. He had to change his line and he still kept his pace. That's quality from Ringrose.
Another man who's in really good, prolific try-scoring form this season, Gary Ringrose.
Yeah, good.
Hat-trick against Benetton, a hat-trick against the Saints in Europe, and now he scored against Munster at the Aviva. What a finish to the half for the defending champions. They had to come from behind time and time again in that half. Munster really put it up to them But it is a try from Gary Ringrose right on half-time. That means Leinster will go in with a 4-point advantage after 40 minutes of really good top-class Pro 14 rugby on the restart. Leinster lead Munster by 17 points to 13.
Short!
Welcome back for the second half. Gary Ringrose with his 25th try in Leinster colours right on the stroke of half-time, giving Leinster the advantage as we turn around for the second 40 minutes. And let's hope it's as good and open and fast as the first half that we've witnessed here. Ringrose, by the way, in scintillating form in terms of try scoring. That's 9 in 8 matches now this season, and his first against Munster. And wasn't it interesting that it was a little combination and deft interplay between the two Leinster centres that led to that try, when a lot of the talk in the build-up was about the other two centres, Dealande and Farrell, both of whom have been pretty good also. As the guys were saying at half-time, Munster probably a little bit aggrieved to have been behind at half-time. I thought they were excellent for the lion's share of that opening half. Leinster, though, as they often do, punishing teams when it matters most. Here's Keith Earls, who's looked pretty lively. Charged down by Ringrose, but it's fallen the way of Luke McGrath just inside the Leinster half of the field here. Josh van der Fleer, major presence in the opening half. Through the hands they go. Henshaw slings one out to James Lowe. Just pops one down into that Munster 22 Daly. Haven't really seen any of him with ball in hand, and this is what he can do. He spotted a gap there. That's good work from Cian Healy. Stretched out that left arm just to scrag in Shane Daly, otherwise he might have been away there.
Use it!
Johnny Sexton in the wars again there. I think he's got a stray boot in the face at the side of that ruck. Slowly back to his feet. James Lowe underneath this one. Back off into McGrath.
Use it!
No room for Henshaw to manoeuvre in there. McGrath. Back it goes to his half-back partner. A lot of height on that one. Daly should have time. Takes it cleanly.
Stay last feet.
Murray waits. O'Donnell. Hanrahan. Through the hands of O'Mahony now to Dealande. Delivery to Earls. Sexton covering inside the 22 and covering to good effect. 50 metres downfield to his opposite number. Hanrahan now to Daly, assessing the options in front of him. Good tackle, Kelleher. Stander up against Sexton, not for the first time this evening. Yeah.
Third time.
Dealande.
Stay here.
Conor Murray working the short side now with Holland. And Holland bundled into touchdown beneath us.
If I was to frame the difference between in the first 40 minutes between Leinster's performance and Munster's, Leinster just didn't have to work as hard to get there to kind of creep up the scoreboard. A few visits into the half, they had a game plan and they scored. You can see the amount of possession Munster have there in the opening of the second half, and their attack across the back line. Nice simple passing, but it's not really threatening any part of the Leinster defence line, and it's just getting bundled into touch ultimately, which is something you never want to see from your attack. And it'd be nice to see the Munster midfield carrying as they did for the Andrew Conway try, and they haven't done so for a long time.
Well, that was the first time we just saw any real hint of a bit of space for Dale Andy to run into. Tried to get his offload away. Leinster hand in the way, but this is good now, good continuity and cohesion from Munster right up to the point where John Klein, and he knew he should have gathered that. And that's one maybe next week or the week thereafter, when there's a little bit more rubber on the road, you'll
let's go, lads.
Pick that off.
Yeah, you'll certainly say, well, where are Munster at their best? I think I saw it was a George Murray who said during the week something about the amount of penalties Munster concede outside entry into the ruck. It's only one in the last 3 years or something like that. And it's because they're very ball focused and they have relatively narrow targets and they go forward and they get across the game line. It's that transition when they're going out the back line that it hasn't been as crisp tonight as when you'd like to see the bigger guys running harder lines.
No, you're surrounded on the axis. Same scrum. I'm not rewarding either team because they're both around on the axis. Let's go. Same again. Here we go.
And just a reset after this.
So guys, I need straight go forward if you want to get reward, okay? Strong left side, please.
If you're coming
you can see the energy from Munster because it's a Leinster put in, so they're delighted that that scrum crumbled. You can see their reaction, and they're especially happy the referee's interpretation, I suppose. But from a Leinster point of view, they need a much more solid platform.
Set. Stay there. Use it.
McGrath goes in. Oh, and he's carried really well. He's bust through a couple of tackles there. Almost got beyond Daly as well. Really good out of the Leinster number 9. He's so good and evasive, elusive ball carrier.
Tackle release rate.
So good was the break that maybe Leinster couldn't get quite enough support to him in time for an offload. Sexton kicks one through the middle, Armour off and chase. Conway covering. Oh, it's tricky for Conway. It's loose and Farrell stretches out his arm.
Well, Armour's certainly in trouble on the deck there. But off that scrum, again, I think referee very patient with the Leinster structure of the scrum, but didn't Luke McGrath do unbelievably well. But as he made the break, I think he didn't realise how much green grass he actually developed on his inside. You can see the monitor there. Look at the two players on his inside. He chose to go right. If he had gone left, I think that could have turned into a try. But this is a great hunting run from Larmour. Through ball from Sexton, and Larmour kept hunting and didn't quit, didn't give up, chasing it down, and that's where he picked up his injury on Andrew Conway. Looks like he landed badly in his right shoulder.
Yeah.
But super hunger from the Leinster full back.
I'm not going to reward them if they just come straight up. In the first one, we went around on the axis. Second one, then we both up together, and that's why I went use it. Okay? We've got to get back to what we were doing in the first half, okay? I agree. No, neither were at fault. It was just a good contest for me. So, Ron? And so I just said to them, I'm not going to reward you if you just come around up on the axis, so I didn't feel that anybody was at fault there. He was coming up and around.
Looks to be in a considerable bit of discomfort. Don't forget a 6-2 split on the bench. Max Deegan wearing 23, of course, for Leinster this evening, so that would require a little bit of a reshuffle. He did have an option off that kick, Johnny Sexton. James Lowe was screaming for it wide on the left-hand side.
Very good. Yeah, take your time.
Understandable anxiety on the faces of Stuart Lancaster and Leo Cullen, but worth a watch again from McGrath here. It's a strong hand, isn't it, on Tommy O'Donnell?
Yeah, he shouldn't be getting through there, but it was Sexton inside. If he did push off his right foot and headed towards the post, he would have had Sexton on his inside, and I think Sexton had a trail runner outside him as well.
Okay, Leinster.
But you'd argue he had enough to be doing at the time, as he's been surrounded by red jerseys.
Okay, George. So you know what I'm looking for, okay? Straight go forward. Stay down under pressure.
Stricken
Selfishly, I was very upset that he went off. I was really looking forward to seeing his impact.
Munster kicked on really well in the
but I'm a bit confused by the tactics they're playing now at the moment. They're not. They have I think their front five can be very comfortable with the dominance they have had. They certainly.
I don't want to keep blowing up, guys.
Very much equal to the Leinster front five, and I think Munster need to start playing a game that might suit that.
Coach! Bind! Set. Good, stay there. Nice strong bind.
That's a little bit of loose at the feet of Conan. He's done really well to keep control of that at all, and the upshot of which Luke McGrath had no time to work in there whatsoever. Conor Murray right on top of him.
Stay last feet.
Taken on by Cian Healy. And Healy waits, and now he goes. He's backed up by Keelan Doris.
Arrive up, Leinster!
Stephen Archer doing well to take himself out of that situation, not concede a penalty. Doris is there. Fardy and Conan making the wedge, and very quickly two players off their feet. Shrill blast of the whistle, and it's a get out of jail penalty for Munster.
6 and 5, never any attempt to stay on the feet, straight off.
Arguably, though, from the previous scrum, there's definitely a potential argument for rewarding Munster at that stage. But again, from a refereeing point of view, very clear. He didn't use the words diving, but they certainly were more diving than driving, and that's a clear penalty and a great opportunity for Munster to relieve the pressure. The scrum is becoming very interesting because it's becoming very dishevelled on the Leinster put in.
Yeah, drive, not dive is the jargon.
7. 7, is it? Yeah, 7 red. Time off.
A couple of changes.
Okay, time back on.
Tommy O'Donnell is coming off. Chris Clute is coming in.
2 metres.
To the front they go, and Clute gets his first involvement, funnels it back to Niall Scannell via Peter O'Mahony. That's another call from the referee's assistant on the near side.
It's a lovely jump that Peter O'Mahony does. He doesn't bounce into the jump.
Entry.
He's become an absolute world-class expert of getting into the air without jumping, if that makes any sense. You know, your classic 2 jumper would have kind of dipped his hips a little bit and then sprung up.
Yeah.
Whereas he's just directly.
Guys, same for them in the first half. We need to clean this area up now, okay?
So Munster back on into Leinster territory. Niall Scannell all ready to go. Confirmation of that switch on the open side. Klein takes it quickly from Clute to Scannell. Now urgency again from Munster, and good direct running from Farrell again. Ran straight into Johnny Sexton. Van der Cleer there also. That's good work out of the Leinster number 10, and helped out by his open side too. The acoustics and the verbals.
That's what normally happens in a match, but you can never hear that whooping and hollering because the crowd are involved. But you can see how important that is to Leinster.
So it
was a great bit of play for Munster, in fairness. They set up a 6-1 line out, threw it to Klein at the front. Looked like you're setting up a driving ball, whipped it away, Scannell around the tail, and Chris Farrell ran a brilliant line and got great running, but didn't Sexton do exceptionally well to survive that hit. But not just that, but to keep him on his feet and create them all.
Chris Farrell too, that's all the deadlifting during the lockdown paying off for Johnny Sexton. That's the added beef I was in ballast I was talking about.
Set. Advantage.
Can they take advantage now? Free to Johnny Sexton's left hand side, one of whom is Ringrose. He's hit the ground running tonight as well. It's been good from the Leinster midfield. That was clever from Sexton. Good from Baird. And away goes James Lowe. They're not going to stop him from here. Brilliant from Leinster. Really good try. Really well worked. Wonderful cohesion and guile about that. And it's another try for James Lowe against Munster. 4th in 7 games.
It's amazing that the nod of confidence in Sexton, he would have seen there was Baird outside him. He obviously was seen there was James Lowe was further out again, but the confidence that the Irish captain Johnny Sexton has in the young second row to play that intricate pass, knowing that he'd be able to catch it. He did. He kept the pace of it and catch it with 2 hands, fixed the last defender and just popped it out of his beautiful play. Absolutely beautiful play. But for me, Sexton acknowledging his ability, because he allowed him to do it, is the key for that. And you definitely don't want to be trying to tackle James Lowe at this stage of any game. But lovely, lovely interplay from the 3 Leinster players, out half, winger and second row.
The masks disguising the obvious glee on the faces of Leo Cullen and Stuart Lancaster. 8th try of the season for James Lowe. He got 2 on his last appearance against Glasgow. Simple, straightforward run-in because of the timing and the awareness of his captain Johnny Sexton, and the assist for Ryan Baird. No, he's got it. Johnny Sexton has nailed the extra 2, and Leinster are pushing out into that kind of advantage from which they are very, very difficult to reel in.
But as I was saying about 10 minutes ago, Conor, how Leinster just making it look a little easier to get those scores, and in comparison how hard Munster have to work.
Yeah, it's that ruthless, clinical nature that they have. All good teams and all good players make it look easy. Devon Toner has been introduced straight into the fray. Hoisted skyward to collect the kickoff.
1 stop.
24 points to 13. 13 minutes into the second half of this game now.
Use it!
No, that's a great take from Ryan Baird. Really good. Caught that almost over his shoulder.
Use it 9!
It's been better from Leinster in the second half. You wonder, has there just been a small drop-off in Munster's tempo? Last 20 minutes of the game will be really testing, energy sapping. Very difficult to go from pre-season training right up to the intensity of this game without it taking some effect.
I'm not entirely sure what JJ Hannon was trying to achieve there. With a relatively easy...
A little bit of chat there after the penalty too, so it's moved up from Andrew Brace. It was CJ Stander in there again. He's relishing the ruck this evening, certainly.
8th arriving player, and you're in the side anyway. Holding.
And they've got to go for the corner here, really make the most of this situation.
What he's referring to there is a couple of minutes back, Reece Marshall, the sub-hooker, and Cian Healy had a difference of opinion.
What's the call here from Munster? They go to the front, so O'Mahony.
Advantage on the lifter.
Back via Klutze, it goes to Reece Marshall with the advantage, remember. Oh, straight into Farrell. He's done well.
Okay, stop. There's no advantage. 12 is off feet. Okay, turn off.
What did Leo Cullen say pre-game? It'll be interesting to see, does it have the feel of a pre-season friendly? That was never going to happen, was it?
We've got 3 in the line out, okay, interference, 5 down there, and 4 just straight in the side again, okay, landing on the support lifter. I couldn't play advantage because he's off feet. You need to have a word here in the line out, okay? Yeah, but you need to have a word now, Johnny, okay? Landing on the support lifter, 4.
So what Andrew Brace, the referee, is it clearly Leinster have adjusted their tactics to try and disrupt Munster's line out at source as opposed to when it becomes a maul. And he's pointed out 3 times where Leinster have interfered with the ball catcher.
Last feet!
Well, there was no ball catcher in the line out there, but CJ Stander did well just to get it back as far as Billy Holland and Munster have secured the ball for now.
Can't play on. Second attempt. I know it's unlucky, but first, then the rock is formed.
You know, once he doesn't give that to Cian Healy, he's got to give a Munster penalty then. A little bit of ambiguity
first
around that
okay,
one.
But didn't get it, then rock is formed. Okay, I know it's unlucky, but rock is formed. Turn off.
Like, to be fair to referees, like the speed with which that situation changed.
Yeah, I know, but he lost it. He didn't turn it over. There's no offense.
So there's the first attempt, and this comes the second attempt.
The second guy's in.
Yeah.
1 blue. 1 blue.
It looks like John Klein down injured for Munster just at this moment in time. Cian Healy also being treated just back on that Leinster try line.
Klein led by his neck there, really. You know, arguably he gave an absolute target of his neck.
Yeah, 2 players coming off badly from that one collision. You just feel it's the time in the game now where Munster really need to take advantage of the territory and advantage they have. Let's not forget all the onus really on them to try and get a result tonight ahead of next week's game, because they do not want to be coming back here to play Leinster again. And I do no disrespect, of course, to Ulster in that, but they want to finish top of the
I think
pool.
arguably, considering the players that Munster have brought in, that they will benefit more from this fixture in the weeks that are coming down the tracks, because they've got some big new names in, they're only finding their feet. That said, I think Munster look at their best when Chris Farrell is involved in much more action. Every time he gets involved in the game, he's getting over the gain line, but he's giving his 14 teammates a target, and they're then being able to flood forward, and they're at their best when he's involved. And the fact that they've not brought him into the game more regularly is something that I'm trying to figure out tactically. What are they trying to do?
Yeah, next Sunday, Munster against Connacht. Connacht playing Ulster, of course, here tomorrow. Really interesting to see how that one pans out.
Well, haven't Ulster, the fixtures have gone in Ulster's favour this weekend, haven't they?
Yeah. And also you could argue that the abbreviated season means they miss out a couple of potentially big games against the likes of Glasgow, for example.
Good lads.
But you have Ian Madigan and other players now taking the pitch there, so it's going to be this a cracking game in its own right.
Yeah. So Rory Scannell coming in, and this is the attritional nature of the game. We spoke about Dave Kilcoyne being forced off. James Cronin, of course, didn't start the game as he was selected to do because of a groin injury.
Thank you. Yeah, just step off. Marks a 5. More!
O'Mahony again is the target. Delivery was good for Marshall, and that's Munster on the front foot here, trundling forward. A little bit of momentum now as they're away through, though. There's Ronan Kelleher in there to sabotage that.
Stay last feet blue.
Save the situation from a Leinster point of view. 57 minutes on the watch, 24-13.
Stay here.
Murray to Klute, goes low. Sexton is there. Sexton's made a lot of important tackles tonight. Dealande. On they go with Lockman and Marshall in close attendance. Keelan Doris has to leave it alone. Stander will take it on, helped out by Ryan.
Okay.
Murray again in front of those Leinster posts. Dealande a little bit deeper to Hanrahan. This time the communication was not good, and that was been knocked forward. And James Lowe has come a long way to celebrate with his teammates there.
You could see what Munster were doing. They set up a cracking little inside. There was a couple of options there, and just the timing of the pass and who was the ideal target. That's the sort of stuff that takes a couple of matches, isn't it, to get into play?
Yeah.
But again, looking better when they go around the edges themselves and carrying up front, to giving opportunities after maybe 5 or 6 phases to then experiment with these types of plays.
Couple of front row changes, and Ross Byrne is ready to come in, as you can see there as well. Cronin, Byrne and Bent all in there.
Alright, need stable start to get ball in. Thank you.
Ed Byrne, of course, that is. Brother and twin Brian has gone off to Bristol. And Ross Byrne in for Johnny Sexton as we head into the final quarter of the game.
Set.
Front rows go down. Andrew Brace is considering.
Down far side, I'm coming this side now. Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
Will Connors in.
The call is, okay,
So many options right across that back row.
Better heights.
Dan Levy, a week or two potentially away from his return as well, which will be great to see.
He's working now, guys, please.
I think Jack Conan should be pretty happy with his performance, considering it's a long, long time since he was in a blue jersey.
Seconds.
He might have forgiven to be thinking that he might only get 60 minutes to be allowed.
Bind. Set. Stay.
First game of the World Cup against Scotland was the last time we saw Jack Conan.
Advantage.
I thought there might have been a penalty on the last one. He's given it there. Andrew Brace now. Ringrose, lots of space. Ringrose going through the gears. Dave Carney on the inside has pulled his hamstring.
Shoulder to shoulder.
Down into the Munster 22 and gathered here by Conway. Keith Earls. Dave Carney's gone straight off the pitch there, just off in full tilt to get onto the inside of Gary Ringrose, and his hamstring is gone. Good again from Ringrose.
Good
He
solid
looks very sharp.
set piece from Leinster, but look at this, having a player of this man's calibre just to slip outside. In fairness to Dealande, he didn't give up the fight. Look at Murray and Luke McGrath though, off screen. Two international scrum halves running the same line, and both knowing that they have to take one out. But that's super play from Ringrose, just slipping through, gliding through at serious pace.
Leinster win the line out. Good flat delivery into midfield to the onrushing Robbie Hanshaw. Flick back inside to Sean Cronin. It's been very effective in that regard tonight. It'll be very interesting to see how both teams pick their way through the analysis of the breakdown after this game, probably on Monday morning.
About 44% of all penalties tonight have been at the breakdown, which is understandable. A better question, Conor, would be if you took CJ Stander out of the back row for Munster, what damage would Leinster do? Because it's a bit too much to say he's single-handedly, but I think, is that his third breakdown steal penalty? That's phenomenal return.
Don't close, Leinster, that's
at
good.
this level to get 3. and still with time on the clock left him. But if you took him out and that breakdown ability, it's arresting Leinster's move forward, if you like.
Well, Andrew Brace is going to the pocket here.
There's too many team offence.
That's taken one for the team as Devon Toner. He's been only on the pitch about 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, I was saying earlier on, Conor, that Munster's statistics in the Guinness Pro, in most cases, considering the position of the table, is down the charts. But one of the places where they're consistently strongest is the return they're getting from line-out. Leinster know this, and Leinster have shifted their target, and the referee is 100% right.
Fellas, it's really simple. Wait until he's come to ground.
Clear communication for Andrew Brace. I think is it the 4th line-out infringement? More than fair.
9.
But it's the same old statement of the obvious. Munster have got to make it count into the last quarter of the game.
I would question the line out. The setup, was it a 5-and-1 setup? When you think that Devon Toner is off the pitch, why wouldn't they put the full line in?
Use it now! Use it. Move
Pleading that there is forward momentum. Farrell carries. Murray there quickly. He's been busy and good tonight. O'Mahony too. Murray there again. Stander. Straight into a wall of blue. Popped away smartly by Marshall. Klutze.
Play on. Stay last feet, blue.
Oh, juggled by Marshall, almost give it away. That's Ringrose has done enough to make that difficult for Munster. Picked up by Lockman, but they forced them back 5 or 6 metres here. Murray now. Is there a little bit of guile and craft behind all this forward momentum play? Stander. Marshall again. Run into Byrne now. Murray. Hanrahan, bit of width potentially. Earls, can he get there? Did he get there? Has Keith Earls dragged Munster right back into this contest? Has he got that down in the corner?
I tell you, Conor, my view from where we're sitting, that is world-class play from Keith Earls, the Irish and Munster winger. That's absolutely world-class. If he converts that into a try, that looks good to me.
Okay, on-field decision is try.
Absolutely world-class from Keith Earls.
On-field decision is try.
Look at the amount of work he did do. 3 blue jerseys down on him.
Pass is fine.
That's outrageous, keeping his feet in play.
Yeah, Andy.
That's phenomenal.
Stay with your on-field decision.
Try.
But I will say this, as soon as Munster upped the pace of that breakdown, when they slowed it down, they allowed Leinster to set, and they're never going to score a try. As soon as they keep the pace of the breakdown up, they have all sorts of opportunities, potential. That's a super try. But I think Keith Earls deserves enormous credit for that. But the speed at which the recycle was upped is hugely significant. That's the takeaway message here. If Munster, if you speed it up, you can do lots and lots of more things.
Well, Leinster with a player in the bin. This is a world-class finish from Keith Earls. First try of the season in the Pro 14. He's been doing this for years. Really, really good. 57 in total in a Munster shirt for Keith Earls. Barely a puff of breeze in the Aviva Stadium tonight. He's caught that beautifully. Straight away to the kicking tee. That's brilliant from JJ Hanrahan. Game on now. Final 15 minutes. It's all back in the melting pot. Well, he backed himself to get the better of Luke McGrath, but even still, with the power to do so, the finish was by no means easy at full stretch. It's going forward. Here comes Baird. We haven't really seen his pace and athleticism. Knock-on advantage over as Leinster come looking for a reply. House, many times do we see them do just that, hit back almost immediately.
It has certainly upped their energy levels, hasn't it?
You've come around 8 and you're in the side.
That's another breakdown penalty, fascinating.
8 came around and then he's in the side.
Keep an eye out here for Jack Conan.
See the entry?
Yeah.
You call that 45 degrees. And that's where, like, the 30-odd penalties being racked up in the Southern Hemisphere and across, it is that exact penalty is eating into the stats.
Who's captain, lads? Time off. Time off. 13, captain. Okay, time back on.
Jameson Gibson Park has come in. Max Deegan too. Both benches pretty much empty at this point. There's been a little bit of collateral damage, disappointment for Dave Carney. RG Snyman we know about from the first half. One or two others as well. Scannell's kick has been touched in flight, picked up quickly. Oh, that was audacious and carried an element of risk.
No move!
Picked up by Deegan. Gibson Park goes in, bent weights, another advantage. Conor Murray didn't get himself out of the way quickly enough for Andrew Brace's liking. Taken on by Keelan Doris.
Advantage! 16 off the ball.
And there's another advantage. Reece Marshall this time pinged. Oh, great pass over the top of Keith Earls to Henshaw. Dinks one ahead. Deegan off in chase. Picked up by Hanrahan. Back we go for the penalty.
Okay, 2 advantage. 16 off the ball here in the middle. Oh, penalty up there. 9 not rolling.
It's probably in the best 2 minutes of Leinster's night, hasn't it? As soon as they conceded it, all the quality of their games come back into play. Like Henshaw, like we didn't really mention in the commentary the quality of Henshaw's grubber kick for Ringrose's try. That was pretty special, and he's done it again there. But that try has really triggered the try they conceded against Munster has triggered, and all their skills are coming back to play to remind us what a quality side they are.
There's no particular training like the line out more low for me, guy. I understand what you're saying. Shot, mate. So cool.
It looks like, it doesn't look like sub hooker Marshall came in and hit Gibson Park off the ball. He's been fiery since he came on, hasn't he?
Yeah. Could be costly though. Heading into the final 10 minutes.
And then picked on the little scrum half just there.
Ross Byrne has certainly made a habit of steering the Leinster ship home in games against Munster rather. Well, he looks to have got that. Yes, he has measured it very nicely indeed. The advantage out to 7 points. So Craig Casey has come off the bench. Conor Murray is off. Just the 8th appearance for Craig Casey. The player who made his debut in an inter-pro against Connacht at Thomond Park April of last year. Another player of huge potential. We've been hearing about him for a long time. Oh, good contest that's going forward off Gibson Park. Here is Casey. Hanrahan. O'Mahony now. Solid tackle from Ryan Baird. Good match up that. Lockman onto it at a good angle and pace. Farrell again, good tackle. Byrne, Keelan Doris in there too. Work rate very high from the Leinster back row and number 6.
but it transforms their performance when they speed that recycle up. They're a totally different side when Leinster are having time to reset.
Casey Lockman had to wait for it, took it on the bounce.
Ball is there.
Missing out Marshall this time, over the top from Hanrahan. No room for Conway to manoeuvre, so he comes in off the flank. It's Ryan this time at first receiver, carries it on 5 metres. Hanrahan assessing the options. Delende, Farrell, Earls. This is good from Munster. O'Mahony was there in wait. Casey, better tempo at the base of the ruck, just the fresh legs. Inject a bit of urgency about this Munster
very narrow
attack.
Defensively, all inside the post.
Lowe is going across to Conway's wing now to try and cover. Here's Daly, there is Conway. Conway against Lowe. Andrew Conway on the way, finished it brilliantly. Second try of the night for the former Munster man. And Munster once again are right back in this contest now. What a game this is proving to be.
Like, as you watch the recycle again, I've mentioned it so many times in the last few minutes, but JJ Hanrahan just transforms his performance when he's playing off a quick ball, where he's less time to think. He just gets on and trusts his natural talent and gets the likes of Chris Farrell in to play. But when you've got two wingers like Munster have, and you get quick ball and give them any sort of an opportunity, it's wonderful to watch. Again, Leinster, who are obviously best team in Europe, arguably, like your quality side with so many players of pace, but when that recycle gives them less time to reset their defence, then they look a little bit vulnerable, don't they?
Yeah. And he comes into a lot of traffic, but I think he's smart to step in there against James Lowe. He can't use the touchline as another tackler, and it's just clever from Andrew Conway. He's such an underrated player, underrated finisher. He's so dynamic and prolific.
But he never leaves anything on the pitch.
Pressure kick. Oh, as he just left that out to the right hand side. Yeah. Small margins, but it's very much all on the table last 5 minutes. A little bit of help if it was required from Chris Klute. What a game we have. Have you missed this kind of game much? Not half, eh? We hoped it would be of this calibre, and it has been. 2 tries while Devon Toner was in the sin bin. He's back on the field now. Parity of numbers restored at 15 aside.
Now 9. No, it's under the foot.
Casey box kicking. Huge hang time on that. Back off Lorimer. Picked up here by Conan. Gets them moving again. Ringrose now to Henshaw. Diolande over it.
Release tackler!
Gibson Park to Byrne. All it goes to Cronin. Another tackle from Reece Marshall.
No, you're off your feet now. Pull down.
Byrne again. Ringrose. Oh, it's a little bit loose from Lowe. Just the timing not quite there.
15. Careful. Out to 5.
Best to say nothing there, Connor, is it?
Yeah.
On the front man.
Understandably, 1 or 2 blowing pretty hard out there now. It's been frenetic, frantic pace.
9.
Again, that Peter Manning, like, it's world class to be able to guarantee that ball when there's 3 blue jerseys swarming in on top of him.
No. Use it 9. Now 9.
I'm trying to use it, ref, says Craig Casey, just taking his time and making sure he's absolutely set to do so.
Backwards. Sorry, backwards to me.
Back off Gibson Park, under pressure from Keith Earls as he was, carried by Devon Toner.
Hold on last feet, Fred. Use it 9.
Not a lot of purchase on that from the replacement scrum half. Lorimer picks it up though.
Now this is a big moment. What is it? Just over 3 minutes in it.
Yeah.
Like Munster got enormous rewards for any time they've had a line out inside Leinster's 22.
Very little angle, but JJ Hanrahan brings Munster further into Leinster territory. Can they manufacture a score from here? Match-winning score in the dying embers of the game.
Careful that we're not throwing across, guys. Numbers early.
The 5-1 setup. Go to in a scrum half.
Good contest. More!
O'Mahony again. Sets it up with Marshall. Casey there. Dialande. Casey, options left and right. Reece Marshall is one of those. Casey again. Klutze under pressure from Cronin. Got away from him. Didn't get away from Doris. CJ Stander this time. Straight into Ryan Baird. Flat to the line to Marshall. Casey again. Promising this from a Munster point of view. Leinster defence set pretty well on that side. They come back against the green. Lockman, he's been good tonight, so too is Stander. Oh, Munster player, yeah, he's been held in there. These are all big calls for Andrew Brace. Game-changing calls. There's a game-changing intercept from Devon Toner, all the way down from 6'10", almost to his bootstraps, and at full stretch to pinch that ball. Earls gets away from Ringrose, gets away from Lowe, taken the ground by Byrne. Are we going to get a spectacular finish to this game? Something from inside their own 22 from Munster.
Outside.
All the way across to Lockman. Dialande now doesn't have too many options. O'Mahony hugs the touchline on this near side. Inside the final minute. Casey, oh, it's been spilled forward, and that might just be it. Leinster put it through the hands now. Byrne is going to kick one over onto the far side. Is there enough in the legs of Ryan Baird? No, he's down on one knee. He's almost out of gas. There's nothing left in the tank. And from a Leinster point of view, it doesn't really matter at this stage, surely. Almost up to 80 minutes.
Time is off.
So many good performances. Tough kind of game from which to choose a man of the match. But Liam Toland, almost at 80 minutes, do you have your man of the match?
Well, 200 people in attendance, 52 points scored, tries scored from props and wingers. But Chris Farrell, when he influenced, he was a game changer, he influenced the outcome of the fixture. It looks like it's a bit short for Munster, but he is tonight's Guinness player of the match.
10 metres, on my AR.
And time running out for Chris Farrell to finish on the winning side. It's going to take something colossal here from this Munster team.
One stop. Use it now.
Casey being urged to use it. Take the bonus point, ball off the pitch. And that is that at the Aviva. players absolutely out on their feet, but it's another defeat in the capital for Munster. 15 trips now to Dublin since that Heineken Cup semi-final in 09 that I spoke about, and they've lost 14 of them. And they may well be back here in a couple of weeks' time to take on the defending champions Leinster in the semi-finals of the Guinness Pro 14. Full-blooded debut for Damien Dialandi. We were denied a real look at what RG Snyman can do. Remember, he went off injured after only 7 minutes, but a topsy-turvy thriller of a game. Half a dozen tries and over 50 points, and it goes the way of Leinster. They have beaten Munster 27-25 at the Aviva.
Like, it was far from a perfect game, Conor, but considering the break of many months between games, I really enjoyed the game. Some real quality plays. I think the James Lowe try was especially quality, with Johnny Sexton bringing in Bard and fixing the 3-on-2, converting out the tramp tracks. That was wonderful to see. Some of the big heavy lifting stuff as well, where you see the front fives really battling it out. Scrums at times was very interesting to watch. The platform was a bit unshaky, and we saw some quality line-up play, didn't we? Referee had to come in and make a couple of big calls, didn't he, around the breakdown, and obviously the sin binning, which was a huge moment in time, because what was it, 2 tries conceded in that period. Yeah. But for me, when you can put Leinster, when you prevent them time to get their defence reset, they then become a side that you can pick on in some ways. See him in Canberra there, CJ Standard, he clamped on, got 3 huge turnover plays. But for me, quick recycle ball and getting Chris Farrell into the play was and JJ Hanrahan quick ball was very, very impressive to watch. But the silken skills of this Leinster team, when they wanted to up the ante and up the pace and up the skills, they have it in spades. And I suppose it's a bit of frustration for Lear Cullen, you can see in picture there, but the bottom line is there's still so much quality in this Leinster side. There's so much to play for, and Munster have given themselves with a bonus tonight that they're very much have a lot to play for too.
14 out of 14 in the Guinness Pro 14. 1 or 2 players hobbling off. Ryan Baird there, you saw a shake of the head too from Dave Carney. RG Snyman heavily strapped up, and Dave Kilcoyne also. A lot of walking wounded. And we'll see how that plays out over the course of the week. Munster will be particularly hopeful that RG Snyman is fit to play over the course of the next couple of weeks or so. But what a game we were treated to this evening. Some really good tries. Full-blooded contest. It didn't feel like a first game back in 5 months. And we may well see these two go head-to-head again before the season is out. Interesting to see how many changes Leo Cullen will make ahead of next week's fixture. Leinster have done all the heavy lifting. 14 wins out of 14, as I said. It's now 22, by the way, in all competitions. Straight wins, that is, going back to that Saracens game at St James's Park. And will they complete the season next week with 15 straight wins? This abbreviated season, shortened from 21 games to 15, remember. And then straight through to the semi-finals. Big shift again from Peter O'Mahony. Chris Farrell was the man of the match, and I think he's standing by now with Shane Dawson.
Chris, congratulations, you are tonight's Guinness Player of the Match, and I invite Peter O'Mahony, your captain, to present you with the award. Chris, obviously not the result you would have wanted. It seemed very, very tiring out there.
Yeah, it's weird. Look, they're a team that have won 22 on the bounce now for a reason. They're a tough team, it's a tough place to come. We put ourselves in the right position, we gave ourselves a chance to win it, and that's probably the most disappointing thing, that we let a few opportunities slip here in this power zone, you know, in their 22, and we didn't capitalise as well as we should have in that case. But look, we're moving in the right direction. There's a lot of positives to take away from that, and we've got something to build on next week.
Specifically, what are those positives?
Look, we took it to them. We were physically there. We held the ball for long periods in their defensive area and scored good tries off the back of that on occasions, and we stretched them. I think we felt really in control with our kicking game. So those things are positives.
What was it like playing with no fans here? A strange atmosphere, to say the least.
Yeah, it was really weird. There's no doubt about that. Coming out to the tunnel at the start, and you're expecting to hear fans, and you're expecting to hear a roar, and there's just none of that. So something we're going to have to get used to. We've got to draw energy from each other, and I think we're a nice tight-knit group here in Munster, and we'll do that. We'll draw energy from each other.
Well done tonight, Chris.
Thank you.